Welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis. Today, I have the honor to be with a board member of Indivisible Houston and a not only local, but now a national hero, Benjamin Hernandez. Benjamin Hernandez, welcome to Politics Done Right. How are you doing today, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. And let me tell you, when I got notion from that this stuff went down from I just couldn't believe it. I here's a message I got. Wait for the video. You are going to love it. We are cleaning it up. The work got done. And
Yeah.
that came from Daniel Cohen, president of Indivisible Houston, and you're a board member of Indivisible Houston, and you got it done. I tell you what,
Yeah.
you actually did something to Ted Cruz that many people tried, and they were never as successful as you were. So first of all, lay out exactly what happened in that eatery for me.
Yeah, I think, but I think I also want to say, man, it had to been fate because, a couple, earlier this week, Beto, had, when he confronted Governor Abbott,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote something on Twitter, like, this is how we have to confront all these hypocrites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on Wednesday night, Daniel is such good people, with Indivisible Houston, the president and co-founder there of Indivisible. He called me Wednesday night and he's like, hey, I got this idea. And I was like, what? I mean, it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, what's up? And he's like, I got these cutouts of Ted Cruz. Let's go drop him off in front of the convention center, right on his chest. I murdered teachers and children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let's go. So like, we're really busy people, man. We're busy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But there we are Thursday morning outside the convention center at 8 a.m. just putting this up, right? And then on Friday, our team volunteered to do the live streaming for the protest, for the entire protest, and put it on the internet, right? And so I'd been in this space of like, this is the most important thing happening, in this week, and I needed to be involved. And so, we were done, went home, took a shower, and went out for sushi, and with my wife. And so we're almost wrapping up, and then I look over, and then I see Ted Cruz, and I'm like, this effer, right? Like, sorry, I don't know if you cuss or not here, but anyway, it just like came out. Like, I tell people I don't really cuss, but it was just like this, like I'm trying to have sushi, and here you are just walking in. And to me, it was clear. I was like, okay, like I'm in this space. To me, it's like everything aligned, and I'm here, and I have to do something, right?
Right.
Because, like I told you, just the context of the week, and like it's real easy to tweet, right, and say something like Beto did. We got to confront all these people, but then when Ted Cruz walks into the room, it gets real, really fast, right? And for me, it was like, there was just not a question of something had to be done, right? And I was there, and I was like, I'm gonna do this.
Now, what happened? You saw him walk in. He sat down at a table with his family, I believe.
Yeah, he was with a big party, family. Like, I don't know who they are. I definitely recognize his wife. I don't know much about his children, so I don't know if that they were at the table or not. But I know it was at least a party of 8 people that were there. Yeah.
And then, did you just approach the table, or what did you do?
Yeah, so like I knew something had to be done, right? And this is what I love about like our network, right? Because I texted our group here, Indivisible, our board members, and I was like, hey, you're not gonna believe this. Ted Cruz is here. Like, give me your thoughts. Because like, to me, like, we've been working on this collective action for years now, right? And I'm like, how unlucky do you have to be, Ted Cruz, right? Like, we're a big city, right? Like, city of Houston proper is 2 million plus, the metro area of over 6 million people. And I'm like, to find yourself in a restaurant where there is a board member of Indivisible, where our goal is to hold elected officials accountable, right? I'm like, how unlucky do you have to be? So anyways, I texted them and I got some ideas back, but it was ultimately sort of like, we got to go confront them and ask them the questions, right? Ask them the hard questions. And so, I'm figuring out like how to do this. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go up and just ask to take a picture, right? Because I've seen that before. So that's what I'm going to do. But here's the interesting thing is like, I I was trying to be like extra sly about it because I'm like, surely this guy's heard this before. So the way I walked up to him and I was like, excuse me, Senator, like, hey, not now. When you're finished with your
Hmm.
dinner, can I get a picture with you? I was like, no, not now. Finish your dinner because they had just served them.
Right.
And he's like, because I thought if I go that route, then he'd just be like even more unsuspecting after
Right.
dinner kind of thing. The guy was like, no, let's do this now. And I was like, oh, let's do this now. So I called my wife over who was ready, and she was gonna, take the video of this whole thing.
Uh-huh. Now, she did a great video, and I'm going to play the video in a little bit. But I mean, the video was great because it just looked like two fans of Ted Cruz wanting to get a video with him, and he was eating it up. The guy is a colossal narcissist, and not only a narcissist, but I actually think he believes in his own evil that it's not. And so it was amazing watching how he was actually very into you that you were so into him. So what happened after that?
Yeah, I mean, like I could not wait to take that smile off my face for that fake picture, right? Because as you saw, my friend told me, man, you went from 0 to 60 real quick. I was like, yeah,
Yes.
because I'm like, I got to do this picture so I can get to him. And here's the interesting thing, right? It's like that's the thing with Ted Cruz and these politicians, right? Who shield themselves from constituents, right? They're not
Hmm.
the type of people. Try calling his office, right? You're going to get his voicemail. Try
Hmm.
making an appointment. You're not going to get one. They're not the type of people that hold town halls. So what we got to do is we got to revert to these tactics of like, hey, I want to take a picture of you so I can get close to you and ask you these questions, right? So the moment we were done with that picture, like I just turned to him and I just went in and I was like, hey, why is it so hard to support background checks? And the reason to me I started with that is because we very likely have different views on what we need to do with guns in this country. But I
Right.
am like, surely we can start with common ground, which the vast majority of Americans support, right? With just background checks. And so that's where I started, right? And so immediately at some point he gets wind of like okay,
Where
like
it's going.
like I mean that he was not expecting that. You can see he glances down at the camera and he's like, okay, all right, it's going to be one of these. And so we just engage, like I'm trying to ask him this question to which he has no answers. He goes to his canned response, which is
Right.
like, wow, the Democrats, the proposals, and I'm like, stop talking to me, man, about the
Hmm.
proposals of the Democrat. I want to know why the hell you can't get behind background checks. It is so simple, right? So yeah, that's we moved into that part real quick.
Some of the people that I placed the video on my YouTube for Politics Done Right and Egberto on the Run, and it turned out that some of the people, it's evident that they were right wingers. Like you're not giving him a chance to talk. And when I saw some of the comments, I finally said, at last, we are not the ones that are taken. At last, we are the ones that are given and saying, let me tell you, we are going to force you not to bloviate. We are going to force you not to put out a canned answer because many times what they do is they are using your question to give the answer that they want, to give the direction that they want people to actually hear on that conversation, and you never gave him a chance to do that. And that was what was so perfect about the way you approached Ted Cruz. Those people who like or think they like Ted Cruz would look at that and say, well, give him a chance to talk. You never allowed him to say what you weren't going to, the fallacies that he
Mhm.
normally puts out there. Finish that
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, because at some moment he's like, well, let me speak. And I was like, okay, we'll speak. But when I see he's just going into these things, like I don't have time for that, right? Like there are people, we are in this moment, right? Because there are families who just lost their kids and the two teachers, right? Like, and
Right.
so you're gonna sit here and try to give me this can't, I don't have time for that, right? And I had not sort of analyzed it until you're saying that, but to me, it just like it was never a question. I mean, I was really trying to see, like, this wasn't a gotcha thing. I was just like, to me, I was like, hey, I want to know this, right? I like tell me where you are on this and why this is so hard. It wasn't a
Exactly.
gotcha. And so when I'm like, wait, you're trying to give me that thing, that response, that canned response that I heard earlier in the week
Hmm.
from you, from Sky News, that you gave it to that British reporter. Like that's the same thing you're trying to give me
Right.
here at Uptown Sushi. I'm not taking it because I'm like, That's not what I'm about. I want an answer that it doesn't seem to compute why the hell you can't get behind something so basic.
Exactly, exactly. One of the other thing, Benjamin, that I really am I'm hoping all of us in the movement start to do is right now we saw those murders, and those murders are a direct result of the policies of Republicans. Ted Cruz, uh, Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, and all the cabal in Washington. You and I know that. But those deaths that we saw in Uvalde, those deaths that we saw in Buffalo, those deaths that we saw at Sandy Hook, those are physical deaths we can see. We can see flesh and blood on the ground. The deaths that we don't see are more profound and larger. Texas not accepting the Medicaid expansion to Affordable Care Act, that killed a lot of people. We don't see the flesh and blood on the ground. Not giving parents the ability to find suitable locations for their kids when they go to work, create latchkey kids that create the problems that have kids without supervision and further debts. I want us to expand the GOP killing to not just the flesh and blood we see on the ground,
Mhm.
but further. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know what your religious background is, but I'll tell you, as a Christian, to me, one thing that just irks me so much, incenses me about this whole situation is because you have this political party, Republicans, talking about upholding life and life this and life that, but everything that they do in practice is against life, right? Like you talked about healthcare, whether it's Medicaid or supporting people who need it or supporting children, right? And everything that they, or guns in this case, right? So everything that they are doing is against life. And so to me, when I see it, you're absolutely right. And I think we have to begin to call them out on that because there is a hypocrisy in that they uphold life and they say these are the things we're doing. The on abortion, right? The classic case, right? Like they are protecting the unborn child, and yet they are ignoring everything else. And to me, that's something that has to begin to be called out. And I think we have to have honest conversations because people are dying every day. I'm going to take this a step further. One of the big disappointments to me that has happened in sort of the, in these past couple of years is if Republicans, they're always talking about God and their Christianity and their faith, right? The vast majority of them, right?
Mhm.
There's everybody in the
Exceptions,
Republican
yeah.
Party, right, right. But they uphold these values. And I'm like, we just went through a worldwide pandemic. Y'all should have been the first ones. If you care about life so much, y'all should have been the first one. They're like, we need to get out of here and get vaxxed. We need to do this for others because our faith, requires that we be good to people, right? And to me, when I'm looking at them, like, but y'all are against the most basic things that will help life, that will make life better for people. I'm like, who the hell are you? Like I don't know what you're about. And I think that's one of the things that we've seen over the past couple of years. We've seen this unmasking of Republicans and really who they are, right? They say they are one thing, but in reality they're another.
I am so happy that I'm here interviewing you, Benjamin. And let me tell you why. Because you get it. Because the group that you represent get it. And that is what we have to call that. A few days ago, I interviewed Andrew Smukler. He is somebody who ran for office as a fairly progressive Democrat in Virginia. And he said one of the problems with so many progressives, with so many Democrats, is the inability to call things the way they really
Mhm.
are, the inability to look at what Republicans are doing and articulate it to people that what they are doing is utter evil. And he
Mhm.
said the word evil. We cater it in words like they're not doing what's right, they're being hypocrites, etc. Some of this, people die, people get hurt, people get maimed. This is utter evil. And when I heard the way you expressed it, I said, you know what? We are in good hands with folks like you leading the movement. One of the things that I always ask at the end of my interviews is, what
Mhm.
would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't, or what would you like to add to this particular discussion?
I think we have to move away from this this veil of civility, right? I think we have to learn to confront our elected officials and leaders, especially when they are hiding from us. And I think there's two levels to that. One, confronting them, whether it's on the street, whether it's a restaurant, like I had to do, movie theater, it doesn't matter, because if they're hiding from us, I think we have to confront them if they're not creating the space for us to ask questions and get answers. Because at the end of the day, we've heard the thing, right? They work for us. So if they work for us, why are they hiding from us? And then the second thing I would say is that that's for them. That is reserved for them. I would say for our community and the people around us, I think we have to engage in meaningful conversations, because the people that are dividing us are these elected officials, right? Those people we have to confront and be shameless about confronting them and get the courage to confront them. But when we look at our communities and our neighborhoods, for the vast majority of them, we're not like that. We can engage in conversation. I bet like something like as background checks, we would find agreement with our neighbors no matter where they are on the political aisle. And so to me, it's those things hand in hand. I would encourage other folks, if you take anything away from this, is go and confront your elected officials, and with your community, engage them in those conversations. But we cannot back down, because we've been doing that for far too long, and it's got us to where we're at now. They always say, right, the time is now, not now for this. Well, it's now. It's now, and we're making the space. That's what I'm asking others. Make the space for those conversations when they don't make it for us.
Benjamin Hernandez, board member of Indivisible Houston, and our latest hero to confront Ted Cruz, someone who's there damaging us all. Thank you so kindly, Benjamin, for having been on Politics Done Right.
All right. Take care, man. Thank you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.